Imagine you are a woman who has a man and you find out that your man is on the internet. Hey guys, welcome to Too Personal. I'm Joy Taylor. Thanks so much for joining us today. Make sure you hit subscribe and follow us on social at Too Personal Show. Hope you have been having a great time in life. I don't know when you're watching this, so I can't say like, hope you had a great weekend or a great week, whatever you're tuning in. I hope you're enjoying yourself. And thanks for being here. I wanted to get into health today because it's something that has been coming up a lot around me as a woman at the age of 39. I have a lot of friends who are around my age who are going through different, life changes, health changes, body changes, mental, emotional, physical, just we're all kind of at this time and space when you get to your mid 30s where things just start changing really rapidly. People start getting sick, people have kids and their entire body composition changes. You're dealing with different pressures at work. You may be getting into perimenopause. I have had a friend that's had a full hysterectomy like 5 years ago. So she's already gone through like a huge life change. People who are dealing with endometriosis or thinking about having kids now that they're older. There's all these just different conversations. And then piled on top of that is this societal conversation about weight and super skinnies back in like the early 90s, model 98-pound skinny. And a lot of people feel like body positivity has been sort of not thrown out the window, but that the whole movement was a little inauthentic. And the conversation around women's bodies and health specifically is really interesting to me because my body has been discussed for my entire career. And it's something that I accepted very early that I was going to be sexualized. My body was going to be talked about. My looks were going to be talked about. My hair was going to be talked about. The color of my skin was going to be talked about. How I wore my makeup, what kind of clothes I wore. Everything was going to be picked apart because I worked in and still work in sports, which is a male dominated space with mostly male representation on camera and behind camera for that matter, and a large male audience in a space where hostility and those type of conversations are, I don't even want to say encouraged, it's just sort of natural. I always say that the love language of sports fans is hostility because we like to argue about sports, but it very often pours over into other things and it very often becomes personal. And now pair that with the internet and the comment section and Reddit and podcasts. It's just like if you're going to be front facing and particularly in that space, you're going to be sexualized. Your body's going to be talked about. You're going to be picked apart. I would like for it to be different, but it is not. And I knew very early, well before these comment section places became the pits of hell that they are, that was going to be something that I was going to deal with. I get asked all the time, how do I deal with the internet? How do I deal with the comment section? How do I deal with Twitter? And people talking about me. And I always say that I had the kind of hard knocks come up in the business because I started in sports radio. And a whole time ago, we used to have the text machine, which was, you can text into the station and we would read text messages. It was usually a sponsored line. This was before Twitter became really, Twitter might not even have existed at this point. We certainly weren't using it as a tool or communicating on it on air. YouTube wasn't a thing. Streaming wasn't a thing. I mean, I was like begging our program director to put a camera in the studio so that we could do YouTube videos. Like imagine me as a talent trying to pitch and now everybody is on camera. So this is how long ago this was. Keep in mind, I've been in the business for 20 years, almost 20 years. So the text machine for a sports radio station and a local sports radio station in Miami, as you can imagine, was not all very pleasant. And that is when I first got introduced to people being able to speak anonymously about you. And it would be like, I hope you get cancer, or like get in a car wreck, or like just horrible shit. And we were supposed to read through this like pile of muck to find one intelligent question about like the Dolphins offensive line to read on air. So obviously after like 2 goes with this, I passed this to our producer and was like, please find a functional person on this to read on air so that we can, mention the sponsor and integrate it into the show. So the long-winded way of saying that, like, I've always dealt with people having opinions about me that are harsh, that are mean, that are inappropriate, and particularly about my body. And I don't care. Like, I don't care what a commenter on the internet has to say about what I look like. And I know the commenters don't like hearing that, and people don't believe that because most people do care about what other people think about them. That's a common normal thing to do, to care about that. I don't care because I have sex with an actual human man. So it is not relevant to me what Bob657 thinks about my ass this week. It doesn't resonate to me. And I've always had sex with human men, so it's just not it's not something that really is applicable to real life, what people say on the internet about my body. But I do realize that a lot of people care about that, and a lot of people see that. So I get asked, and even more so now that I'm sharing like my fitness journey, and I'm always traveling. So I'm in, these different spaces, and people are constantly commenting on what I look like. And, they're not very nice, because they get no pussy and their wives hate them. And if they have a wife, everyone hates them, actually, I should say. Probably their mother hated them, which is kind of maybe the origin of all of it. But the point is, these are not real people who are happy and living their lives. Like, imagine you are a woman who has a man, and you find out that your man is on the internet talking about another woman's body, like saying things to another woman about her body. Like, it's unimaginable. It's not a fear I could even like pretend to empathize with. Like, I couldn't even imagine what that feels like, because there's no way I would ever allow a man to put his finger on my kneecap that would have the audacity or desire to do that. Like, it's so that extreme that it just doesn't resonate to me. But a lot of women ask me about this because they see, and not just women, men too, but mostly women ask it because they see how people talk to me. And I've even had someone like reach out to me because they were like mentioned on my page, and they were like, I can't believe how people talk to you. Like, are you okay? And I, went through the same spiel with her and was like, yeah, it's totally normal for you to feel like bad about it. It's normal for you to react like you're normal. I'm not, you are. It's normal to think that this is terrible. What I have done and compartmentalized with that is a function of surviving and living in this very male-dominated, very hostile space. But when it comes to like your body and health, that's the space that I'm at now. As women, we go through all these different phases in time. Like, you're young, your metabolism is firing, and you can eat 5 slices of pizza and wake up and like run a 5K the next day and have a beer. That changes. and then you have a different phase, and then you hit 25 and your metabolism basically like shuts down, and you get your woman body, and then you work through that and see how you're going to eat and how you're going to sleep, and what kind of changes for the last part of your 20s are for your body. And then you get to 30 and it changes again. And now I'm at the point where, I'm on the cusp of my 40s. I'm at the end of my 30s. I've gone through all of those different phases, all those insecurities, all those times that I've really judged my body for changing. And like recently, I have gained a little bit of weight. I'm okay. I do not need gastric bypass surgery, I promise you. I'm perfectly healthy, and I actually just checked on it because I did gain weight and I haven't changed anything. I'm always traveling. I work out 4 to 6 days a week, depending on what the week is. I'm very active. I eat well. I drink a lot of water. I take all my supplements. So like sometimes things in your body just change. And I found out recently that I have extremely high stress levels, which shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but I don't feel stressed. Like I don't have, to me, a lot of big stressors in my life. I don't have relationship problems. I don't fight with my friends. I don't have issues with my family right now. Like all blessings, thankfully. Some of them are by design, but like I'm in a good place, I feel. But I was told by the medical professional, that I have the stress levels of an NSA agent that is working to keep the grid online and has no one to talk to because they can't share their state secrets with their spouse, which is such a specific level of stress. So we have deduced that maybe I'm just used to functioning at this stress level. So my brain feels okay, but my body hasn't adjusted. And I spoke to my therapist about it, and they sort of reflected that notion that I need to implement a little bit more, softness, which I've talked about this whimsy journey. I'm trying to have like a little whimsy every day, whatever it is. But maybe I need a little bit more aromatherapy, or try meditation or journaling, or, a light walk. Because sometimes even the working out, which you would think would help with the stress because you get endorphins, if it's a super intense workout, which is what I do, then that can not really help with the stress. It'll just give you endorphins and, like help keep you in shape, but doesn't really help with your stress levels. So I say all that to say, I'm at this really peaceful place with my health right now where I'm just grateful to be healthy. Like there are people who are actually unhealthy and have done everything right, and their bodies changed because they've had a child, or they've just developed a disease, or they've become allergic to something later in their life, or their body has just decided to change entirely and now they're dealing with a health issue. Like there's so much that can go wrong with your body. And we always say this, like health is the most important thing. Like nothing matters but your health. We only really resonate with that when something is wrong with your health. And so I just want to stress to people, using my own like personal testimony of somebody whose body is constantly picked apart. There are people who have whole conversations about what my diet is online. They have never spoken to me, let alone know what I put in my face. Like they have no idea what I do daily in my daily routine, who have discussions. Like they'll go back and forth in the comment section. Like, well, if she did this, what the fuck? How? Go. You're not working enough. You need a second job. If you have time to talk about what my diet is and you don't know me personally, you need maybe a second or third job. You're not working enough. You don't make enough money. I promise you, you're wasting your potential, like your earning potential, if you're spending time doing that. But yeah, as a person who deals with that and who is, very serious about their health, and that I do want to know what's going on inside my body, I am embracing getting older and my body changing. It's not going to look like it did when I was 20. It's not going to look like it did when I was 25. And it may never look like it did when I was 30. I went through these changes on air a lot. Like we would do, for wardrobe, we would do these fittings where, they obviously buy a bunch of clothes and you try them on and you integrate it into your closet. When you work on network level and they have wardrobe departments, that's how it works. And sometimes you would need to get something sized. Obviously, I'm a short person, so most of the pants would have to be hemmed. Suits had to be fitted, and you fluctuate in weight. So something that I bought maybe 3 years ago to wear on air doesn't fit me anymore because my body changed. And it can feel very dramatic and kind of jarring. Like, wow, like, why doesn't this fit me anymore? Well, because your body is different. And it doesn't mean that you're unhealthy. It doesn't mean that you're overweight. It doesn't mean that you're not taking care of yourself. It just means that your body is changing. And that's okay if you're healthy. And this attack on people and their weight, as if gaining any type of weight is a complete neglect of your health, when you are not a doctor, you do not know this person's health journey. You have absolutely no idea what's going on with them. And we never learn. Like there's a conversation about a basketball player named Tyrese Halliburton right now. And he has gained a lot of weight. Well, visibly, he looks heavier. And it's because he's on medication. And he's had to say that this medication that I'm on has caused me to gain weight. Now, he's an athlete, so obviously his body is a topic of discussion for everyone. I mean, his injuries are discussion. His, the type of shape he's in for being on the court is a discussion. Like if he takes, what kind of training he does is a discussion. What he eats is a discussion. Like when you're an athlete, that's also a part of it. And it's like you don't know what's going on in people's bodies. One of my favorite things that I do is this blood work that is like a diagnostic, and it breaks down everything that's in your body and how much level of vitamin D you have and how much taurine you have. Like it's a whole complex rundown of what's going on with you. And it's always alarming to me how all these trends that people try to push on other people, like being a vegan or being a pescatarian or drinking this certain type of milk or not eating this certain type of meat or taking this certain supplement. Like, I get it. Everyone's just trying to help each other and give tips and, the overall goal is health, but you really do not know what's going on in another person's body. I need to eat more red meat. And to somebody who's vegan, that sounds like blasphemy. Like I've just cast a spell of witchcraft on you. But the reality is my body needs it. And I know that because I've actually talked to a medical professional who does this and is breaking down the very things that I need in my body right now to lower my stress levels and give me more balance for me to be healthier. That doesn't mean that you need to eat more red meat. I don't fucking know you. I don't know what's going on in your body. I'm not a medical doctor, and I would never prescribe to give anyone any kind of medical advice because it is not what the fuck I do. But what I would say is be gentle with yourself, appreciate your health when you have it, because you literally never know when that can change. And you can do everything right. And you can work out and drink all the water, take all the supplements and eat all the right food, and you can still have something go wrong. So you should always appreciate being healthy, appreciate the body that you're in. It's the only one that you have. Do not let what other people have to say about your body affect your spirit or what you do or how you feel or how you move around the world. If you want to wear that tank top, girl, wear that. Nobody gives a fuck about your arms. We don't care. We worry about our arms. Okay. We're not worried about your arms. We don't care about that little bit of pinch. Ain't nobody worried about that. Okay. And one thing I can promise you is that men are not worried about that. Not the ones that are outside. The ones that are on the phone, those ones are worried about it. The ones that are outside are trying to grab that little chunk baby. Okay. They like it. All right. I promise you. We are way too hard on ourselves. It's a speech I give myself all the time. Again, I am not perfect in this. I have insecurities about my body. I have things that I'm working on. There's things I'd like to look better at in different places. But what I'm not going to do is punish myself or apologize for it or explain myself to anyone. I keep my insecurities to myself and the other person that sees me naked. That's it. And they're fine with it. So it's really just for me. I am just really grateful to be healthy. I'm grateful to be at the age to experience these changes. Some of them are going to be unpleasant. Some of them are going to be affirming. But aging is a blessing. It's the whole point. The point of life is to continue to get older. And with that process comes different changes. And for me, it's been kind of fun. I'm enjoying this chapter of being a woman in a way that I really didn't expect. I never really thought about being 40 or what that would mean or what I would look like or what I would feel like. And, I'm not 40 yet. I'm still in my 30s, okay? I'm still in my 30s. Still a 30-something-year-old woman. But, yeah, I guess I'm just grateful. So I just encourage you. We have all these discussions about body and body type and fat and all these things. You're never going to feel 100%. It's a term we use in sports a lot. No one's ever 100%, right? You're always playing hurt. And I kind of feel like that sort of applies to your body as well. There's very few times in your life, when I think about the times that I never thought about what my body looked like was probably when I was 19. So for 1 year of my life, I did my body was there was nothing, nobody could say shit to me about my body. That didn't last very long. So for most of the time of your life, there's going to be something about your body that makes you insecure. There's going to be something you don't like, something you're going to work on, something you're like, I don't like this, I don't like that, I want to like this. Fine. Are you healthy? Are you happy? And is there things that you can do within your control to fix that? If there's not, just be happy to be here and not be in pain. So yeah, that's my health spiel, my health spiel for today. So, all right, guys, time for Never Too Personal. If you want to be a part of the show, toopersonalpodcast@gmail.com. Shoot us an email with your stories, or if you want advice on something. We do love hearing your stories, though. And you can also DM us or send us a message on Instagram or any of our socials at Too Personal Show. So today's question is, how do you handle financial conversations with family, friends, partners, etc.? So I did not come from money, contrary to what the internet says. The internet says a lot of things that are incredibly inaccurate about me, but me coming from money is one of them. My brother was drafted to the NFL in the 3rd round in 1997. I don't want to do a whole sports history here, but that's not it's not a $400 million contract for your rookie year. He actually wasn't even sure if he was going to stay on the team because he was doing Jimmy Johnson 2-a-days in the Miami Heat. Not for the Miami Heat, for the Miami Dolphins, outside in the heat of Miami. So yes, my brother had money. I'm not going to get into the family dynamics of it because it's not entirely all my story to tell. If it was, I would let you know. But the long and short of it is, I did not grow up with money. I grew up seeing, obviously, my brother have great success at a pretty young age. And those access points obviously changed my perspective on what is possible. Obviously, I wasn't going to be 6'6", 240 and play in the NFL. But, I think anytime you have any experience with someone who has a lot of money or who has money that is not, traditional to where you grew up or your family status, it changes your perspective on how people behave, what people expect from them, what you expect from them, how they handle their money. But I didn't grow up with any kind of financial background. My father did not have money. My mother did not have money. Their families didn't have money. I did not understand credit. I did not understand the stock market. I did not understand bank accounts. They didn't teach any of that in school. So for the most part, what I've learned about finance has been through being completely broke, having money, figuring out how to get a credit card, figuring out how to pay for a gallon of gas with the change in my car, every different perspective and experience on finances. And I'm in a good place, in a decent understanding, and obviously still learning. So everyone has a different financial journey. Some people are raised by parents who have a really good understanding of money and have conversations with them at a young age, and they understand real estate and they understand investing, and even if they don't have a lot of money. So there's a whole range of how your relationship with money is formed, how you treat financial conversations, what your relationship with money and other people is, and everyone has different sensitivities. So when it comes to financial conversations, I totally get how it's hard for people to have them. It's uncomfortable. You don't really want to ask people how much they make. You don't want to ask people how much debt they're in. You don't want to ask any conversation that makes people feel vulnerable. And money is something that makes people feel extremely vulnerable most of the time, unless you're post-economic, which is a whole different kind of conversation about money, because then you're signing prenup on prenup on prenup. I'm on a very person-to-person basis when it comes to conversations about money. I don't think everyone should know everything about your financial situation, because you just simply cannot trust everybody. And I don't think it's necessary for everyone to know. I think people will have a general idea of how you're doing in life based on how you move around, the things you do, the things you have. So for family and relationships, I think, are the two hardest financial conversations to have. Friends can make things uncomfortable enough that it makes it almost easy to cut that relationship off, because not that friends are replaceable, but hopefully you have more than one friends. And if they act weird about money, it kind of makes it easy for you to remove them from your life. Family and relationships are a bit harder. I would say relationships are the second hardest because similarly, like if you're not too far in, if people start acting crazy about money, you have decisions to make. With family, I think boundaries are the most applicable when it comes to that. When people ask you for money, when people expect money, when people don't respect your money, that can make things very uncomfortable, and it can really change the dynamic of relationships when it comes to money. So I don't really have a blanket policy for everyone because I think that each situation is different. Like if you're about to get married to someone, you should have very transparent conversations about money. You should know what your relationship is to money, what their relationship is to money, what they want to do with their money, how much money they want to make, how much money they want to save, what do they like to spend money on, how often do they go on shopping sprees, what kind of, savings accounts do they have? Do they have a 401k? Do they believe in banks? Like, are they hiding crypto? You need to know everything that your partner, if you are getting married, everything that has to do with their relationship and ideas on money before you get married. That is advice that I would give to everyone. It's very important. And hopefully you have been observing them to see that what they're saying matches how they behave in that way as well, because that is something that can really rip a family and relationship apart if you don't have the conversations early. Friends, I think it's pretty simple. Like, just have a limit for what you share with them. Be strategic about how you share your wins. Know who to share your wins with and who not to. Some people they're not naturally celebratory people, and it can strike a bit of envy that's unnecessary. Now, granted, I don't know that you always want to be friends with people like that, but sometimes, they've been your friend for 20 years and you got to know who people are, don't tell them you got the deal, but maybe not give them the details, that's kind of how that goes. You have to know your personnel, right? We're using a lot of sports references today. Know your personnel. It's important to do that. And with family, I think the boundaries are pretty simple. Like, sometimes you're going to have to help family, but how, why, when, how often, what's the long-term goal here? Like, I'm always going to take care of my mother, and that's what it is. I have the ability to take care of my mother, and I want to take care of my mother, and so I'm going to take care of my mother. I am not, however, going to fund everyone's life. Like, that's just not you have the capacity to go earn money. You're going to go need to do that. Now, if something happens and there's an emergency, we can have that conversation, but we are going to have it respectfully. We're going to have an understanding on, is this a loan or am I giving you this? Are you actually using this for this purpose? I better not pop on your IG and see you in Vegas. Like, those type of conversations need to be had. And I think there's like a shame attached to money when you need it, because I've experienced this a lot. And now that I'm older and not in that situation, I have like mixed feelings about if I should have had shame or not. I think sometimes you need help. Like, we are in really tough economic times. People are struggling. People are working 3 or 4 jobs and still not being able to pay for everything. Everything is so expensive. If you have kids, God bless you. I don't know how you do it. I don't know. I almost said these little motherfuckers. These little motherfuckers is expensive. Okay? It is expensive as fuck to raise a kid. So I know it. I know it is hard out here in these streets, and we know who is responsible. So yeah, I mean, that's a very long-winded way of saying you got to figure that out on your own. But I think money is something that is a literal case-by-case basis. You can have somebody who's constantly hitting you up for money and be like, why do you never have any money? Like, do you work? What are you spending your money on? And then you can have somebody come to you for money and you're like, wow, you always have your shit together. Your bills are always paid. You always live within your means. I'm happy to help you. I know you really need this right now. And like, you actually don't have to pay me back. Like, I'm happy. I can't help you. It is nothing to me. I want to help you. There's nothing attached to this. There is an absolute case-by-case, person-to-person basis when it comes to that. But I do think boundaries are something that are super important when it comes to finances. And you should have a real conversation with yourself about what your relationship is to money and what your boundaries are. And if you want a real, you know, approachable and authentic way to learn about money and develop your relationship with money, I do think that Rashad and Troy at Earn Your Leisure do an excellent job of having real, transparent conversations about money. They're very authentic and approachable. You can get their book. The book is very helpful as well. You Deserve to Be Rich. And I think, like, start small. It doesn't always have to be this huge thing that you automatically overnight a millionaire. Like, if you're like me and you don't have any education in finances, and your parents didn't teach you anything about finances, and nobody like held your hand to explain any of this to you, you shouldn't overwhelm yourself. But money is important. It's important to all of us. It does make the world go round, and your boundaries and relationship with it should be as healthy as possible. So thanks for the question. If you want to be a part of the show, twopersonalpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on social at Two Personal Show and Two Personal Show, and make sure that you hit subscribe. Thanks, guys.